Rama, are you there?
Yes.
Can you see me?
Yes, I can.
So namaskaram. I think there's quite a few people who have signed in also. Welcome to Intach Palakkad's Kootamkoodal. It's a series of chats that we started during the lockdown, and they're talks with people connected with Palakkad and its sort of cultural sphere. So over the last 6 weeks, it's been a privilege to talk to some of the brightest people from the region, and to know about the amazing work they do in history writing and culinary arts, music, cartooning, and films. So when we started, the lockdown had been declared, and many of the other things that we do couldn't be done. So where we usually don't do a lot of things which involves coming in front of a screen, but we thought we'll just try it, and we didn't know whether people would like it. But at the same time, we knew that it will take a little bit of time to, iron out the initial sort of issues. So we set a number of 3 sessions to see if it works and if it makes sense and all of that. So we are now at episode number 6, the last one in the series. So we'll be talking to you, Rama. So another wonderful creative practitioner from this region, of whose work we're all incredibly proud of. You're at the very top of your discipline, admired and loved by like so many people, like Rasikas and students, and not just in India, but all over the world. So I'm very honored and also slightly intimidated to have you on this. It's so gracious that you agreed to join us. So welcome again, Rama.
Thank you, Arun. And I don't think you should be intimidated at all. We are fellow people from the same land, after all.
True. The intimidation is because I am by no stretch of that definition an expert in dance, or indeed in any of the disciplines in which I've been having these conversations. I'm just interested, and I sort of see myself as asking questions for people like me. So there's a lot of us who are interested. We're not experts. So these are opportunities for us to know a little bit more, and thereby, in future engage with these disciplines and sort of be on that journey of progressively becoming better at appreciating these things, and hopefully at some point become connoisseurs of it. So that's my place, and I'd like to, that's like a little bit of bail, sort of advanced bail that I'm taking for myself. Before I go, I just have to this conversation, the fact that you're here is happened because of this wonderful, lovely friend of ours, who's also a student of yours. And this is Shruti, who's absolutely in love with you. So I feel I need to thank her before anything.
Yes, I want to thank her too for introducing me to you and getting us in touch. But she's going to kill you, Arun, for doing this.
Yeah. I'm like, right now I have a feeling that she might have died of a heart attack or something. Had a sudden stroke of because she told me specifically that while I am a dancer, I'm so uncomfortable having myself being photographed and things. So I worry for her. I hope she's safe.
No, I worry for you.
Yeah, for what will happen to me after this. Yeah, that I'm less worried about, because I'm used to being mildly skewered by people after these sessions. But anyway, so thank you so much, Shruti, for making this happen. And I think we'll now get into, we just have an hour. And so the way we have been doing this, we have an hour where we talk, and then we give something like 20 minutes to a half hour for questions. And sometimes when the questions sort of map to what the person I'm talking to is talking about at the time, we also jump the gun and ask those questions in between. So my first question is to do with, why on earth are you here? Because because most people here, they know of you as this very successful, very celebrated name in the world of dance. You do perform here. You come here for the Swaralaya festival. You come here for the Gauri festival. You have done workshops here, but not a lot of people know that you're actually connected to the place. So would you like to clarify what are your links to Palakkad?
Oh, because my father grew up in Kunisheri and my mother grew up in Alathur. So basically, I have very, very strong roots in Palakkad. But since my father was in the army, after he married my mother, he moved out of Palakkad and got posted to different parts of the country. So basically, I never lived in Kerala. But I grew up in this completely Malayali household in Delhi, speaking Malayalam, eating Kerala food. And that is how I grew up. Going to Kerala, for summer vacations to meet grandparents and aunts and uncles, but never really lived there. So my Malayalam is not so good. It's funny actually. അല്ല സംസാരിക്കും പക്ഷെ കേരളത്തിൽ വരുമ്പോ സംസാരിക്കുമ്പോ എല്ലാരും ചിരിക്കും. Especially like suppose in a performance when I'm looking at the light person and I'm giving him directions, like if I'm performing for Surya festival or Swaralaya or Gauri festival, so I'll say ഇവിടെ മഞ്ഞ ലൈറ്റ് വേണം, ഇവിടെ നീലം ലൈറ്റ് വേണം, ഞാൻ അങ്ങനെ ഇവിടെ വന്ന് നിൽക്കുമ്പോ അങ്ങനത്തെ ആ ലൈറ്റ് അങ്ങനെ ഇങ്ങനെ തന്നാ മതി. So then he'll say, sari madam, pandre madam. So I'm like, why is he speaking to me in Tamil when I'm speaking to him in Malayalam? So then he'll say, so then I'm trying to tell him that njan Malayaliya. He'll say, appadiya, okay, njan vicharichu madam Tamila. I said, പക്ഷെ ഞാൻ മലയാളത്തിലല്ല സംസാരിക്കുന്നത്. അല്ല, മലയാളത്തിലൊരു തമിഴ് ചോയ, relation തമിഴ് ചോയ. So then, I get little embarrassed with my Malayalam because my guru spoke to me in Tamil all the time, Yamini Amma. And then I'm married to a Tamil family. So, and Bharatanatyam is full of Tamil, we are in the Tamil world. So I speak a lot of Tamil and I'm more comfortable in Tamil than I'm in Malayalam. But I like listening to Malayalam.
A few people who kind of, when we announced the session, we had written that she will be talking about her roots in Palakkad. So the sort of automatic assumption that they made was that you must be Tambram, that you must be from one of the Agraharams. You're not from an Agraharam, are you? You're not a...
No. My name was Rama Krishnan Nayar. Okay. Before I got married to an Iyer Brahmin and became Rama Vaidyanathan. So my parents were from the Nayar community.
So was it an advantage to have, it must have been an advantage to have that married name, no? To be...
More than the name, the advantage was to get married into that particular family. My mother-in-law is a very, very reputed, very, very respected guru in Bharatanatyam. And she established this school called Ganesh Natyalaya in New Delhi. So it was the platform that I got, and it is the family that supported me. And in our family, dance is of prime importance. Everything else is secondary. So
your children are also into, your daughters are also into music and dance. Am I right?
Yes, of course. My older daughter Dakshina, she's a professional Bharatanatyam dancer. My younger daughter Sannidhi plays mridangam and has already started accompanying me for performances. So it's all a world of dance.
I don't know. So the Harsha Bhogle lookalike person is Mr. Vaidyanathan.
Yes, the Harsha Bhogle handsome lookalike is my husband.
The good-looking couple.
Thank you.
So and we just saw this lovely picture of 3 generations of dancers. Is that right?
Yes, that's my mother-in-law, my guru, who's also my guru, me, and Dakshina when she was, I think, just 8 years old.
8 years old. Okay. So I'd like to probe you a little bit to understand about about both your gurus. But this, I'd like to spend a little bit more time on this Palakkad thing. So I've always been a little intrigued, but then when I asked around, I got a reasonably satisfying answer. But Palakkad does have a very strong Carnatic music tradition. Now, how does that play out in the world of Bharatanatyam? Is that referenced? Does it ever come up?
I feel extremely proud to be from Palakkad, because generally the talk in the Bharatanatyam world, in the Carnatic music world, is that Palakkad mannula yedo irukku. There's something in the mud in Palakkad that produces such fantastic musicians. Some of the greatest musicians in Carnatic music have come from Palakkad. So I feel extremely, extremely proud and privileged and humbled, actually, to be from the same mannu and to be carrying on a tradition of Bharatanatyam, which also, of course, is deeply connected to Carnatic music also.
So in that connection, I always wondered why, although the music came as part of the migration of the Tamil Brahmins to Palakkad, and later it became a pillar of their cultural identity. But back in Tamil Nadu, if you look at it today, dance too is part of the cultural identity of that world. So I always wondered why it never happened here. But I think it has to do with the evolution of the form itself. Because at the time when the migration took place, I don't think it was part of the Tamil Brahmin identity when the migration took around, whatever, from 400 to 600 years back when it took place.
Yes, but we must understand that Carnatic music and Bharatanatyam actually thrived only when the Tanjore Quartet brothers visited the Travancore court in the early 19th century, and especially Vadivelu, one of the four brothers. And as you know, the Tanjore Quartet are the four brothers in the Tanjore court who were under the patronage of King Sarfoji II. And they are the ones who we attribute the whole codification of Sadiratam, that is what it was called at that time, the codification and the whole grammar that was stipulated by the four brothers. And one of them walked up to King Swadhi Tirunal's court.
Were contemporaneous with the Carnatic
Trinity.
Trinity.
Yes, of course. In fact, they were students of Muthuswami Dikshidhar in music. And Vadivelu spent quite a few years with Swadhi Tirunal under his patronage in the Travancore court. That is why we find several compositions that are attributed to Swadhi Tirunal, which are in Sanskrit, and exact same compositions, same notation, ragam, talam, but translated into Telugu, attributed to the Tanjore Quartet. So they've had this huge interaction. And then when Vadivelu went to Travancore court, he also went with a set of musicians and some dancers too from the Shaiva Lalar community. So it is these dancers who actually brought Sadir to Kerala. So I think
we have some pictures of the
yes,
three.
The four brothers. Yes,
the four brothers. Sorry. So have you in your childhood did you by any chance watch the Malayalam film Swadhi Tirunal?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I watched it, and I was very excited when they brought in Vadivelu into the character of Vadivelu also, and Sugandavalli, the Devadasi whom Swadhi Tirunal fell in love with, and actually they used Irayaman Thambi and Swadhi Tirunal used the basics of Sadir through Sugandavalli and other court dancers to revive, redefine, codify Mohiniyattam. So this huge this osmosis that took place between Bharatanatyam and Mohiniyattam and Carnatic music from Tanjore to the Travancore court is extremely interesting. And then it actually tells us that there is a huge history of Bharatanatyam in Kerala.
Yeah, it seems like it's a format. Some of the formative ideas came from the same source.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's very interesting. You know, but this connection, you just mentioned this thing about Palakkad Manna. This is it's very trivial, but I can't help not say this. You mentioned you're from Kunisheri, and episode before last we had the musician Srivalsan Menon, who was from Kunisheri, and we started it with the history blogger Manmadan Ullatil, was also from Kunisheri. And anybody who doesn't know better, they would think that this is an operation run by some Kunisheri folks. It's like, so what is this? Is there like some sort of secret Kunisheri cultural clique? Like every third person seems to be from that place. So I think there's something in the Kunisheri Manna also.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I think it is a general reverence to the arts, the general respect that people in Kerala have for the arts. And if you look at it, the maximum number of classical dance traditions are from Kerala. We have so many classical art traditions from Kerala. So look at the wealth of knowledge and talent that exists in Kerala. So I am just totally
and
humbled.
also there were these two grand projects, as it were. One was, of course, the project that took place in the court of Swati Tirunal, which is I think happens just once in a millennium. But then almost contemporaneous to the to what not very accurately is called the modernization of Bharatanatyam, there was the project that Mahakavi Vallathol undertook in Kerala to sort of make our forms have an institutional framework and have a system of pedagogy. And so I think as much as the fact that there is a soil, it was also the work of remarkable modernizers who could straddle the yesterday and the tomorrow. So I think that work, in a sense, I know that this is a slightly controversial topic, the work done at Kalakshetra, but almost at the same time, the Kalamandalam took shape.
Yes.
So I think
and also in Kalamandalam, we also have to take note of the fact that in Kalamandalam, if Kathakali and Mohiniyattam are the main subjects, they do teach Bharatanatyam in a very, very authentic and solid fashion. I have been to Kalamandalam several times to perform and also to teach. I am absolutely astounded by the talent that they have. I mean, of course, Mohiniyattam and Kathakali, because that's what the institution was made for, but also the kind of training that they also receive in Bharatanatyam, and the way in which these students have grasped, and the way they love that dance form, sitting in the heart of Kerala it's actually quite an incredible experience to see that. I just enjoy interacting with these young dancers in Kerala. There's so much of talent, so hardworking.
So sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, they're so hardworking.
I was wondering, there is these critiques that one hear from people, and you probably are uniquely placed to help us understand that. You know, this difference between being taught, having the tutelage of a guru in the old Guru Shishya sort of format, which is more or less what you followed it with some modifications. But then there is the other form, which is where you have institutions like the Kalamandalam, where there is a syllabus and there is a evaluation, like a standard evaluation process. And so it's a much more institutional model of teaching. And some people at least critique that it sort of leads to a certain lowering of standards, or at least that it sort of often fails to lead to excellence. That excellence needs slightly more. Yeah, you know.
I don't think so, because look at the kind of training that has been imparted in Kalakshetra and in Kalamandalam, and there also they do learn the Guru Shishya Parampara style. They are actually learning directly from the guru and spending hours and hours learning from the guru. And then they also learn a lot of subsidiary things like the theory, the Natya Shastra, the shlokas, Carnatic music. They learn the percussion instruments. They learn Tamil and Sanskritam and Malayalam. And so I think it is a very holistic training that they undergo in these institutions. But then if there has to be a level of excellence for the student to achieve, let me tell you, it is completely upon the student. Now, whether the student has learned on a one-to-one basis in the garage of a guru, or has learned in an institution like Kalamandalam and Kalakshetra, it is finally up to that student to take up his or her dance to a different level. So I don't think that initial training process has anything to do with the dancer making it or not making it. I think that is completely up to the dancer. How much determination and where he or she has internalized and taken dance to a different level, taken dance out of the classroom, and how much risk has he been able to take? How much has she been able to get out of her comfort zone and look at dance in a more expansive way with a broader vision? And it is unless you do that, you cannot make it to the top.
What did you mean by risk in the context of dance?
When I say risks, I mean getting out of your comfort zone. I mean pushing your boundaries.
Right.
I mean creating a very individualistic relationship with your dance. I mean I call it a love affair. I mean creating a love affair with your dance, which is so strong and which is so individualistic, which is just about you and your art form. And it is then that you make your individual statement. It is then that you make your individual expression of what you think dance is for you. And to a certain extent, you do become a non-conformist. And you know, when you're a non-conformist, you are open to criticism and judgments and risks. You can fall on your face, flat on your face.
But isn't all of this something that's relevant? Probably a few, like initially you started at age 6, is it? 6?
Yes.
5 or something.
6.
So this sort of deliberation on one's path, I'm assuming the mental apparatus that enables you to engage with it at that level would come in much later, like maybe a decade later.
Yeah, it's a process, it's a journey. The first few years, you only learn the dance form, you only learn the grammar.
Right.
And then it's only after that that you develop a sense of, practicing the technique, perfecting the technique, internalizing the technique. And then, as I said, creating your own understanding of the dance form for yourself, for your mind, for your perspective and your body. And it is then that you start turning into an artist just from a dancer. So it's this process. And I think this process it's a process that the dancer has to create for his own, which is why I say that whether you learn from an institution or from a guru, in his house, it really doesn't make any difference as long as you have grasped it and you have the right attitude towards it.
A related sort of question that often pops up, it kind of comes in that same basket of sort of general cribs as the previous one. So in the Kalamandalam model, they have a dual stream. So you study your art form in the morning, you attend your Kalaris, and in the latter part of the day, you go to school. And as you come out, you get you graduate in your art form and you graduate your 10th or 12th exam. So, and the criticism is that if they are going through an intense sort of program of learning in their art form, doesn't that qualify them for some form of certification, which is the equivalent of the sort of conventional academic? Now, you're a teacher, you're a mother, you're an artist. What do you think about? Should they do? Is that a good approach, or
the approach to learn only
to
for the
have this
certificate?
dual thing? So the critique is that it's an art school. It's an art school, and if you go through 10 years of art training, why can't just the art training qualify them for an SSLC or a higher secondary certificate or whatever? Why is it that you're watering it down with a general?
Well, I think the most important thing is, why do we assume that an artist does not need education? I think an artist needs to be educated, needs to be a global citizen, needs to be aware of political, socio-economic, mythological, every aspect of life the artist is required to understand. And for that, education is necessary. You can be an engineer, you can be a doctor, you can be a BCom honors graduate or a BA or a BSc, whatever. But any kind of education, academic education, is definitely necessary, is what I feel, because we are in the 21st century today. And dance, what it was in the early 19th century, is very different from what it was then. Today, we are global citizens. We have a responsibility of carrying on a tradition, possibly a 2,000-year-old tradition, today in the 21st century, in the now, right now. And if I am not well aware of what is happening in the world now, what is happening to my surroundings, I will not be able to use my dance as an effective medium of communication. So I think education is absolutely imperative for an artist. I think artists need to be intelligent, they need to be well-read, they need to not just well-read only in the Natya Shastram and the Abhinaya Darpana. No, I think they need to be well-read in history, in mythology, in spirituality, in geography, mathematics. There is so much of mathematics in dance. And also about what
this is something that we always hear. This is like one of those old arguments, one of the oft repeated arguments, the need for a sort of holistic education, which
because it expands the mind. Education expands the mind, and a dancer is required to have a very, very broad and macroscopic vision of life. Because after all, when she dances, do you know she represents the whole universe? She represents the universe when she dances. She represents nature. She represents history. She represents mythology. She represents aesthetics, beauty, sensitivity. So she represents the world. So she needs to be educated.
Are they usually? Do you find when you see people of your stature online, everybody seems remarkably articulate and quiz them on any question, and you can hold a fantastic conversation on just about anything. Is that an exception, or is that is it like bright people in one area? Do they also are they also the ones who become good dancers, or is that effort involved?
Yes, I think by and large, dancers who have been successful are dancers who have been thinking and have taken dance out of the classroom. And I think to take dance out of the classroom and to take it to a different realm, you need to be thinking. You need to use your acumen. You need to use your intelligence. And definitely for that, you need to be well read.
Do you have an example, like, as a truism, I don't think one can contest that you need to, have a wide range of interests, and to be in any sort of artistic discipline, your range of interests sort of shapes the kind of creative mind you are.
Yes.
But from your career, is there perhaps an example that maybe a youngster who's watching this might you can illustrate this point that, I had an awareness of something outside of dance which helped me in my dance.
Yeah, several things, like for example, we are going through this pandemic, and the COVID virus, the COVID disease is a disease which is connected to the respiratory system, to the breath. And do you know that the Tirumular in his 3rd century work called the Tirumandiram, spoke so much about the importance of breath, and we all know the importance of breath, through yoga. And so he spoke about the importance of breath, and the importance of breath for a dancer, and how important it is to keep the breath healthy and alive. So when I read about the respiratory disease, and I make a connection to what this sage said years ago. Another example is, I was choreographing something on the Himalayas.
Okay.
Taking verses written by Kalidasa from the Kumara Sambhavam. And, I was kind of harnessing the memories that I have had of the Himalayas when I traveled with my mother to Dharamshala for her Gita, Bhagavad Gita yajnams that she would go for, and I would tag along with her. So I'm trying to harness those memories. I'm trying to look at the Sahityam of Kalidasa. And I wasn't really happy with what I was bringing to the table through my dance. That's when I started reading a lot of books on the Himalayas. I started watching just photographs, just documentaries on the Himalayas, and they helped me a lot. And one of the books is actually written by a Keralite, Sri M. He wrote Apprenticed to a Himalayan Master. And I read that book, and it gave me such a fantastic insight into the spiritual and philosophical connotation of the Himalayas, that the essence of that I was able to bring to the book. And if I really want to meet him to thank him for helping me to trigger those choreographic creative skills within me just through his book. So I think, to be aware of everything around you.
Could you meet him and thank him?
I haven't actually.
I'd like to just talk about your gurus. So you sort of started with Yamini Krishnamurti, the legendary Yamini Krishnamurti.
Yes.
Padma Vibhushan Yamini Krishnamurti, who I can't help sneaking in a little bit of sort of pride in the fact that she's also one of the founder members of Intach.
Yes.
So with Yamini Krishnamurti, of course, she's in a sense a transitional figure too, from the colonial, from that period when the British banned Sadir, and then there was a project to revive it, which in some sense was yoked to the nationalist project. And so she was a bit of a transition figure. And I have read that, she has worked with some of the older temple dancers. And there was a certain, she learned adabus from them and so on. And you had the privilege of sort of learning under her. So did it offer you at least a glimpse or some understanding? You learned with her for over a decade.
Yes, and I was fortunate. So I have been extremely fortunate in my learning processes, starting with my mother, Madhavi Gopalakrishnan, who triggered this.
I want to know how you start. Why is it that your mother thought you should learn dance?
It's a story.
I know. I recall that story vaguely. I'd like to hear that.
So she was 9 months pregnant with me in Pune at the College of Military Engineering, where my father was posted. Right. And Yamini Krishnamurti went there to perform, and my mother was very excited to go and watch her dance. And then she was so mesmerized and she was so touched by the performance that, I believe I was kicking inside, and I was also getting equally excited, and probably I was kicking in the rhythm of the dance. I don't know, probably. So, and then at the end of the performance, Yamini Amma did the Tarangam, where in Kuchipudi, the last pieces where you dance on a brass plate. And Amma couldn't see her properly.
That's the
So
piece that are on a plate.
Yes, on a brass plate.
Huh.
So Amma stood up on top of a chair to get a better glimpse of this performance. So this woman who is full-term pregnant, standing on top of a chair, precariously standing, trying to watch. So it was quite a scene. And that night I was born, and then my mother, and it was a girl, and then my mother said, okay, I'm going to make this girl learn dance from this lady only. Then years
On
later...
screen, are your parents, right? The picture?
Yes.
Okay.
So Major K.C. Gopalakrishnan, that is K.C. stands for Kuncheri Chakkangal Gopalakrishnan, and Amma Madhavi Gopalakrishnan.
That's such a lovely picture.
Yes, that's a lovely picture.
Were you the tallest one in the family? I mean, are you the tallest one?
Yes, actually I am, because my father was very tall. So I did take up his height.
So you were talking about
yes.
that window.
So Amma, yes. So these are my siblings. My oldest sister from the right, Indira Nair. Then my brother, Colonel Ravi Nair. And then my sister, my second sister, Meera Khanna. And that's me.
She's the writer.
Meera Khanna is an author, yes. And she's a social activist. Indira Nair is a teacher. And my brother, he's in the army. So my mother was the one who initiated an interest in me. And she took me to Yamini Amma when she just started classes.
Right.
She taught me for more than 12 years, and she taught me exactly what she danced. She didn't leave anything within her. She just gave me everything. And my mother...
This was in Delhi.
This was in Delhi, and which is why after my father retired, the big sacrifice that he did was not to go back to his hometown and settle. He said, I'm going to settle in Delhi because I had to continue my training with my guru. That's a huge sacrifice my parents did for me, for not going and settling down in their cozy nest, that, so to speak. And then they settled in this big bad world called Delhi, and then they settled here, and that is how I started continued my training. And those were the years when my mother would work very hard to take me for these dance classes, and constantly be after me for practicing, and she would inspire me so much. And I know she went through a lot, physically, emotionally, and even financially to make me continue my training with Yamini Amma. And then at 16, I fall in love with this young, handsome engineer whose mother is Saroja Vaidyanathan. And then at 19...
Mr. Harsha Bogle.
This is Mr. Harsha Bogle lookalike, C.V. Kamesh. And then I get married at the age of 19, and I walk into this Brahmin household, which has a very, very broad outlook towards dance. And so I'm a Nair girl, and I get married to a Nair family. So there were people, we have to understand this is 33 years ago. So there were people who did approach my mother-in-law and said, Ayyo, same jadi illiye, ava Nair ponnache, ninga ayyarache. So that's when my mother-in-law turned and gave the most profound dialogue of her life, for which I love her loads for that. She turned around and said, Yaru sonna enoda jadi illa? Avaru dancer, avalu dancer, now dancer, number rendu peru ore jadi. That's it. Story over. She's a dancer and I'm a dancer. We both are of the same caste. So don't you dare say that she's... Yes, we are of the same tribe. So don't you dare say that she's not my tribe. She's not of my family. And with those words, she welcomed me into the family.
Lovely.
And so if Yamini Amma taught me the craft of being a dancer, Saroja Amma taught me the craft of being a professional dancer.
It's almost
She taught me, yes, she guided me, the finishing touches, the polishing touches. And then she came with her own repertoire that she learned from her traditional guru in Chennai. So I learned that repertoire, and I had already learned this repertoire from Yamini Amma, where her repertoire was also an amalgamation of Kalakshetra and also of Kittappa Pillai and Gauri Amma. So Kittappa Pillai and Gauri Amma were from the Ishai community. And then she also learned from Kalakshetra. So what I learned already was an amalgamation of the two traditions. I didn't know that at that time. I just learned it, unknowingly. It's only later I realized, oh my God, how fortunate have I been? I have been exposed to these multiple traditions of Bharatanatyam, and which is why I was able to make my own cocktail. I just make my own cocktail.
Can I just, as I said at the beginning, to a large part, these sessions are for the intelligent non-experts. So for other people who might be hearing, who are in the place that I am, the historic context of Bharatanatyam was an old form, but it had certain associations which made the British impose a ban, and it was called Sadir back in the day. And of course there was later an effort to rejuvenate the form, and the nature of that rejuvenation and the people who did it. So in Tamil Nadu and in the wider world of dance, this is a very contentious topic right now. It's very hotly debated. But of course, in this conversation, we don't need to go there. But just as, because you just mentioned the Ishai community, this is the context.
I think, yes, today, if I'm standing here, if I'm sitting here, and several other Bharatanatyam dancers who are practicing this dance form, it is because of the combined joint contribution of both communities. Absolutely, both the Ishai Vallalar community initially, where they were patronized by the temples and by the court, and of course they fell into doldrums because the temples could not patronize them anymore, and the courts of course did not exist anymore because of the British rule, and of course they fell into doldrums. But the good thing is that they continued with their tradition and they continued imparting the training. What would have happened if they had not continued with their imparting of the training? So I think we really need to be thankful that even through those difficult years, they continued with their tradition and they continued imparting the training, and the men in their families started imparting training to women from the other communities too. Now, when I say other communities, I don't only mean the Brahmin communities. I mean even the communities in Kerala, because the Devadasis went there too. The musicians from the Ishai Vallalar community went there too. I mean even people in Gujarat, because when Rani Chimnabai was one of a Tanjore princes, when she got married to a king in Baroda, with her, the dowry was a set of Devadasis and a set of musicians. So slowly, this art, through the conduit and through the medium of this community, Bharatanatyam, Sadir or Bharatanatyam later, started spreading to other communities of the country. And it is then that the contribution of both needs to be recognized. And that is when Bharatanatyam is now today recognized as a global dance form, because it is being practiced by a wide range of community, not just in India, but also outside India, and also by non-Indians, and also it's also patronized and propagated and supported by a lot of organizations.
Yeah. So a gentleman called Davis Kannambura, he has a question which kind of syncs with what you just said. So his question is, do youngsters in other countries show a flair to learn this art form?
Oh yes, a great flair they have. and they're extremely dedicated, and they understand that it is not only just, it's not just learning the dance form. They understand that it's like a sadhana. They understand the process. It is important. And only those who understand that will actually get the authentic training within themselves. And it's only then that they're able to take it somewhere. So yes, there is a lot of interest, huge interest.
So you married into this, I don't know if it's accurate to say, but it's almost blue blood of the Bharatanatyam world. Somebody who's a great practitioner, a teacher, who's an institution builder, Saroja Vaidyanathan. We know that the world of Bharatanatyam is also, there is a certain orthodoxy that sort of governs that world. In a rather crude way of putting it, there is a certain orthodoxy to that world. Did sort of your association with her, did that in any manner ease your way into towards recognition, or was it still as hard as it is for anyone else?
It was very easy for me to become a professional dancer as far as North India was concerned. When I say very easy, it doesn't mean that I didn't have to work hard. Yes, I definitely had to toil and sweat my way up. But it's because I had this backing of the Vaidyanathan family and of Ganesh Natalya, and of course of my mother-in-law, and of course a family that is hugely supportive of my dance. So I didn't, in that sense, I had absolutely no problems of, I'm tied down with household duties or taking care of children. That was all secondary. The most important thing was to dance. But yes, I did have to struggle to make a presence in Chennai, because I was everything that I'm not supposed to be to make it big in Chennai. I was a non-Brahmin. I was a non-Chennaiite. I was a Keralite on top of that. And I'm from Delhi. I'm from North India. So I did have a sense of, I was intimidated. There was a sense of hostility initially, in the sense like, who is she? She's this outsider who has come. But I must say that I did garner a lot of support. I did get a lot of support from Chennai, who believed in my work, organizations and individuals who believed in my work and continued to support me. And that is how I actually climbed the ladder. There's an incident where I went for, several years ago, when I didn't have a big name in Chennai. I was sitting for a performance, and I was going to perform on the same stage, on that same sabha, the next day. And so I just gone to watch the performance, and I was sitting there, and there were two Tamilian mommies sitting behind me, and they were saying, "Naaliki yaru aadra? Naaliki Rama Vaidyanathan Delhi potrukku. Ayyo, Rama Vaidyanathan Delhi ya? Ayyo, ella Hindi bhajan na panna pora. Delhi lendu vandirka." So I just turned back and I said, "Illa mami, na Tamil varnam dhan panna poren. Bhajan ella unnum panna poradilla. Kavalaye padadingo." "Ayyo, neenga dhaan Rama Vaidyanathan." So finally, those two mommies became my biggest fans, and they started actually coming for all my performances. So what I'm trying to say is that there was this initial reticence about who's this outsider who's come. I really had to be very thick-skinned. I had to be just strongly believing in myself. That strength of conviction really helped me. People in Chennai who started slowly believing in me. And, that is how I built it. So I just loved my work so much that I did not want to get intimidated.
So do you think that sort of cultural walls exist even now? Is it hard even for a young dancer today to break into that world?
It is hard, like it is hard in any profession of the world. So definitely There
And
are
also,
there
so
are
in any profession, one would assume that we live in a meritocracy, is what we'd like to think of ourselves. So competence, of course, you need, and the work required to build that competence. But in some of these orthodox worlds, it's also beyond the competence you need in your craft.
yes, it's recommendations from your guru, recommendations from the big organizations, it's recommendations from the culture vultures of the place. Yes, I agree, but let me tell you, those recommendations will happen only once, and you will get that one opportunity. But if you are not good, and if people, do not want to watch you dance, will not buy a ticket to come to watch you perform, then you've blown your chance. You've blown your chance. So yes, recommendations do work, but they work only once. Nobody wants to put up a trashy dancer just because, there is some connection somewhere. So I feel, to a certain extent, merit does merit lasts. Recommendations
just to
are temporary.
oversimplify that, a young dancer or his or her parents today in let's say Palakkad, അയ്യോ അവിടെ മദ്രാസിലൊന്നും പോയിട്ട് നമുക്കൊന്നും പിടിച്ചു നിൽക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല എന്ന് വിചാരിച്ച് പേടിച്ചിരിക്കേണ്ട കാര്യമില്ല. You can break free, right? That's
yes,
what you
പേടിച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന കാര്യമില്ല. You just have to be strong and be convinced. Right. And also I feel you need to invest. Even a small tea shop somebody opens, he needs to invest in money, monetarily, time wise, and then he will go into losses in the beginning. I feel young dancers in Palakkad should invest, go to Chennai during the December season and be there and watch dancers, interact with senior gurus, young dancers, their peer group. That's avashya, bhayangara avashya. You need to go there and expose yourself, get exposed. That this is what I say when you need to take risks, when you need to walk out of your comfort zone. It's not just artistically, even in life you need to do that. And you need to hold the bull by the horns. You need to be there, and you need to go and look for opportunities where you can perform. And I have danced in Chennai Sabhas at 2 p.m. in the 2 p.m. afternoon slot with 5 people sitting in the audience. But I did not get disheartened. I just went on every single year, investing, not getting any money back in return. But I think that investment is crucial.
ഇത് കഥകളിയിൽ ഇങ്ങനെ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്, 20 കൊല്ലം പഠിച്ചാല് ചെക്കന് കഴിവുണ്ടോ ഇല്ലേന്ന് അറിയണമെങ്കിൽ 20 കൊല്ലം എടുക്കും. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് അബാൻഡൺ ചെയ്യണമെങ്കിൽ പോലും 20 കൊല്ലം എടുക്കും. So it's quite possible to invest 20 years and you'll find out that he's not worth anything. So that's the risk that you have to take.
Huge risk. Because an engineer or a doctor, when they study, they know after 5-6 years they will become an engineer or a doctor. Joli guttum, uru salary guttum, something they can make out of their lives. But dancers will we even become dancers after 15 years? Will we even make it? Will we even be able to make a livelihood? We don't know that. But then why do we just keep learning dance? It's just for the passion. It's just for the love. And also, it's not only about learning dance. I think it's about learning about yourself. It's about self-introspection. It's about understanding your microscopic presence vis-a-vis this macroscopic consciousness. I think learning dance helps you to understand that connection, the connection between the body, mind, and soul, the equanimity that you need to reach. So at the end of 15 years, when you don't become a dancer, it's still worth it.
It's still worth it, yeah. So I want to come to that point in a second, because ഇത് കേട്ട് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അയ്യോ കുട്ടിയെ ഡാൻസിന് വിടണ്ട, അത് മിക്കവാറും തോന്നും ആവില്ല എന്ന് തോന്നി വിടാതിരിക്കാൻ ഒരാൾക്ക് തോന്നിക്കൂടായികയില്ല. പക്ഷെ അതിന് യു ഹാവ് ഈ അവസാനം പറഞ്ഞത് അതിനുള്ള ഒരു മറുപടിയാണ്. Dance പഠിക്കുന്നത് ഒരു താരമാവാൻ മാത്രമല്ല. There is another dimension to it. We'll come back to that. But I feel this will be a slightly wasted session if we are not able to show at least a tiny bit of you dancing. And it's a tiny bit of dance, and it's something that even at my level of non-expertise, I love it. So I think I'm going to show that Mayura Alaripu, which is like scintillating for at my level of inexpertise. But just one thing, very often people so the very high likelihood that the video may not play. We tried doing that one of these sessions and it didn't work. If that is the case, we'll move on. And also in some cases, I think people, if they have low bandwidth, connection video karanam net capacity korvayonde disconnected avum. Angane aanengil onnum kuda reconnect cheyidolu. But let's see if we can. This is a very beautiful piece. Do you want to just set it up? Do you want to say what you were trying to do, or do you want to talk afterwards?
I'll talk afterwards.
Okay. So let's see a tiny bit of your Mayura.
Okay.
Was it playing or did it stop?
No, it didn't play for me.
It didn't play for me either. So this happens sometimes. It's a bandwidth thing. So let's.
അല്ല ഇപ്പൊ സാരമില്ല. ഞാൻ ഇവിടെ ലൈവായിട്ട് എന്തെങ്കിലും
പിന്നെന്താ എന്താ സംഗതി? It is an invocatory piece. Normally the Alaripu is.
It is Alaripu is an invocation piece. Alaripu in Tamil means to blossom. So it is like literally like a warming up piece. But I did the whole piece with the Mayura Hasta.
Right.
So this is the Mayura Hasta. And I made it like the Mayura Alaripu, like how the peacock would move to the beat of the Alaripu. So it came out. It was quite an interesting work that happened. It was quite experience to allow this mudra, because they say that every mudra has a connection to the brain. Every mudra that you take, there is a specific way that the body will move. Because if I do this, there is a specific way the body will move. But if I do this, there's a specific way the body will move. It just triggers my muscles and my cells to move in a particular way. So when I changed the Alaripu mudras to Mayura Alaripu, the whole dance, my whole movement dynamics changed. So it was an experience for me to even understand. So when people ask me, how did you choreograph that Mayura Alaripu? I say, no, actually, I didn't do that. This mudra did it for me. It just guided me. So that's the experience. So
your sister comments, and this is lovely. She writes that she's referencing. I think she texted a while back. I'm just seeing it now. So Meera Khanna, she writes that 9-month pregnant lady was and still is from somewhere up above. So very proud of you. Amazing talent and perseverance knows no regional borders. I think you exemplify that. Bravo.
Yeah, like I said, I have a fantastic, like I said, I have a fantastic family, and my mother was with me, traveling with me all over the world. That was what she loved most, to be watching. And then I felt that all her labor of, it bore fruit when she would see me sitting in the auditorium and everybody getting up and giving me a standing ovation. And then she would call her sister up in Palakkad, Kamalam, Kanduo, Ramada dance Kanduo, standing ovation ആയിരുന്നു കേട്ടോ. ഇന്നലെ എല്ലാരും അവളെ കൂടി സംസാരിച്ചിട്ട് അവളെ വിടുന്നില്ല. So she would be so proud of me and she would be so excited. So I'm really happy that I was able to, because we lost her about 4 years ago, but I feel really humbled that I was able to give back to her for what she did for me in my dance.
Did she choose to teach you because she wanted to be a dancer in her younger days? Is it like an ambition she had?
Yes, I think she was a philosopher. She was very deeply spiritually connected, and then she connected dance with spirituality a great deal.
Hmm.
So she thought that this was a medium,
Hmm.
and then she was a huge resource person for me. She would give me verses from the Bhagavatam and the Narayanyam and ask
Hmm.
me to compose it. In fact, one of her favorite pieces, I would like to do that actually. One of her favorite pieces was Irayaman Thambi's Omana Tingal Kedavo.
The lullaby.
And the lullaby that he made because the Queen Mother asked him to compose a lullaby for baby Swati Tirunal. So I think I want to do a 2-minute piece on this and
Please,
dedicate it
please,
to my
please.
mother and dedicate it to all my huge family in Palakkad, because it's a Malayalam song. So ഓമന തിങ്കൾ കിടാവോ നല്ല കോമള താമര പൂവോ ഓമന തിങ്കൾ കിടാവോ നല്ല കോമള താമര പൂവോ പൂവിൽ നീരഞ്ഞ മധുവോ പരി പൂർണേന്ദു തണ്ടി നിലാവോ പൂർണേന്ദു ജ്ഞാന മധുവോ പരി പൂർണേന്ദു തണ്ടി നിലാവോ ഓമന തിങ്കൾ കിടാവോ നല്ല കോമള താമര പൂവോ.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rama, I think, the problem with bright people like you is that time just goes so fast and we're only left with so much to ask. But again, from that inexpert place that I'm asking my questions from, one of the things that I am interested to understand is about collaborations, the idea of collaborations. So we have dance, but in especially in the great Tamil temples, we see dance in sculptures. In fact, there is that remarkable project that Dr. Padma Subramaniam has done on the Karanas.
Yes.
So you see the same ideas in one way or the other mirrored in literature, in music, in dance, in sculpture, and I would assume that a simplistic sort of conclusion is that the temple back in the day was a place for great collaboration. There were many people, many practitioners, and they kind of cross-pollinated. Your views on that?
I think dance has
I think a lot of people are not, in case, I'm sure there are also your students who are very, very familiar with this. Please forgive the sort of basicness of this question. But if you could also talk about that Karanas project that.
Sure. So basically, I think dance being looked upon as an artistic expression, man's artistic expression, actually started even from the Indus Valley civilization, because we have the bronze dancing girl of Mohenjo-daro. So there she stands with her hands on her hips, with her hand, what we call in dance terminology as dola hasta. She stands there with a slight deflection of the hip. From that, we can understand that from way back then, dance has been considered as an art form, because which is why it was recreated in sculpture. And then, of course, we have these beautiful karanas, which the dance karanas of Lord Shiva's dancing postures in the temples of Sarangapani and Brihadishwara and Chidambaram. And they are actually a freeze, a moment of a movement. One moment, one freeze from a series of movements, which is why you see a lot of karanas will have several hands. That is because it actually speaks about the way, the path to where, how you go and then take that pose finally. And Dr. Padma Subramaniam did pioneering work in researching on and connecting the karanas that they found in the temples in the early 20th century. That was when they actually found it, and connecting it to the karanas written by Bharata in the Natya Shastra, and how she incorporated it into the dance form. So that is a huge work of research and scholarship, which has benefited the whole Bharatanatyam world a great deal. So we can understand from these karanas and from the temple sculptures of dancers that how important dance was as an art form in the temples, and how temples were the central point of social and artistic convergence, and of course also of spirituality and philosophy, and how everybody would gather there, and that is how the temple dancer walked into the temple with her ritualistic dances. And so that linking of the arts between painting, sculpture, and dance is also mentioned in the very, very old ancient text called the Vishnu Dharmottara Puranam, where they actually speak about how somebody had to learn music, has to learn dance. If he has to learn dance, he has to learn music, and the sculpture, dance, painting, music, and then you start learning dance. So which is why I constantly say that even today's dancer, of course, I know it's not easy to learn all these dance forms, all these art forms, but at least you can be aware of them and you can be exposed to them. That's why I tell my students, you should go for sculpture exhibitions, you should go for painting exhibitions, you should go for music concerts. It's very important to be aware and immerse yourself in all the art forms, because they are all interlinked.
There is a question from Mr. Jayakrishnan Menon. It's not. He asked, like Amma. Amma is an organization in Kerala, which is a sort of professional union, as it were. It's a professional association of the film artists. One of the good things that it does is that it provides pensions for superannuated film artists. So he asked whether there is a similar organization that provides assistance to retired people from the world of dance who are financially weak.
Yes, we do have an organization called Abhay, Association of Bharatanatyam Artists of India. And it's based in Chennai. In fact, during this pandemic, we have raised funds through Abhay to give funding to artists from poor economic backgrounds who were not able to make ends meet. because there were no performances happening, no classes happening. And even when the floods and the cyclone and all of that happened, this organization has been raising funds to help the artistic community.
Excellent, excellent. Because of the time thing, I'm tons of questions I'd like to ask, but I think people can ask that directly through your Instagram handle, where you respond quite promptly. And so I encourage people to also, continue the conversation through other means and see this just as a beginning. But we started with Palakkad, and I'd like to sort of wind down back in Palakkad. So one personal question: I have my own views about audiences in Palakkad. Some of them are critical. But we do have a couple of excellent shows for the small town that we are. We have at least 2 very good festivals where we get to see the best performers, including yourself. Do you have any views on from the other side of audiences in Palakkad? Do you think how do we compare? Are we literate enough? And how is the experience of performing here?
I think the audience that comes to watch a Bharatanatyam recital, at least the audience that comes to watch me perform a Bharatanatyam recital, is of course the dancers and the dance teachers. All of them, of course, are they know about the dance form, but there are a lot of people who don't know the nuances, and but I think there is no need for them to understand the nuances, and many of them will not understand Tamil or Telugu, which is absolutely fine, I feel, because don't we go to France and Japan and Germany to dance?
Yeah.
And what do they understand about Tamil and Sanskrit and Hindi? So I feel even if they do not understand it, but there is a sense of deep reverence that they have for the art form, which I even mentioned in the beginning of the talk, that the reverence that they have. And I'm really, really touched by the reverence and the respect that they have. It could be something like we don't know it, but we respect it so much. And we like watching it because they come in hordes, they come in hundreds to watch me perform. And they sit absolutely silently. I've seen this even during the Surya festivals that are held all over Kerala. The organization Surya Krishnamurthy runs these organizations, and he's known to have pioneered Carnatic music and classical dance forms, especially to propagate it in Kerala. And I've seen that the audiences come and sit and they're absolutely silent and they're totally engaged. And they're not very good at clapping. I don't know why. No, they don't clap too much. I don't know why, though. I beg your pardon?
There are 2 problems I've heard. I mean, people sometimes clap at the wrong place, and that sometimes irks performers. But your problem is that they're not clapping.
At the end of the performance, at the end of the piece or the end of the performance, initially I was a little worried about it. But then I realized that's how they are. They don't, they just do a little bit of clapping. But then that doesn't mean that they've not got touched, or doesn't mean that they've not been engaged with the performance. So, and I love coming to Kerala to perform, because especially when I come to Palakkad, I hear a lot of Malayalam. And when I hear a lot of Malayalam and the fragrances of Kerala food, I feel like home. Because as I told you, I grew up in Delhi, speaking Malayalam at home, speaking Hindi when I step out, speaking English in the school, and speaking Tamil in my dance class. So for me, home was Malayalam, speaking and hearing Malayalam. So when I come to Palakkad and I hear people around me speaking Malayalam, there's a small smile that I smile to myself, because I feel like I'm home. I'm at home. So I like that.
ആ സ്മൈൽ ഉണ്ടാവാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ഞാൻ ഈ അടുത്തത് മലയാളത്തിലാണ് ചോദിക്കാൻ പോകുന്നത്.
അയ്യോ ശരി ഓക്കെ. മലയാളത്തിൽ മറുപടി വേണോ?
മറുപടി പറയാൻ പറ്റിച്ചാ പറഞ്ഞോളൂ, ഇല്ലാച്ചാ ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ പറഞ്ഞോളൂ.
ശരി.
പക്ഷെ ചെറുതായിട്ടൊരു കേരളത്തിന്റെ ഒരു ലാഞ്ചന കിട്ടാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ഞാൻ മലയാളത്തിൽ ബാക്കി ചോദിക്കാം. അപ്പൊ ഇത് ഏറെക്കുറെ അവസാനത്തെ ടോപ്പിക്കാണ്. മുന്നോട്ട് നോക്കുമ്പോൾ, അതായത് ഇത്രയും അനുഭവവും ഒക്കെ ഉള്ള രമാ വൈദ്യനാഥൻ ഇവിടെ വന്ന് ക്ലാസ്സസ് നടത്തിയിട്ടുണ്ട്, വർക്ക്ഷോപ്പ് നടത്തിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇവിടെ കാണുന്ന കുട്ടികൾ, ഇവിടെ ഡാൻസ് പഠിക്കുന്ന കുട്ടികളുടെ ഒരു നിലവാരത്തിനെ കുറിച്ചൊക്കെ എന്താ തോന്നാറുള്ളത്? മറ്റു പലയിടത്തും ഇപ്പൊ ലോകം മുഴുവനും പോയി ക്ലാസ്സുകൾ നടത്തുന്നുണ്ട്, വർക്ക്ഷോപ്പ് നടത്തുന്നുണ്ട്. ഇവിടെ പഠിക്കുന്ന കുട്ടികളുടെയും ഇവിടെ പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്ന ഒരു നിലവാരത്തിനെയും കുറിച്ച് എന്താ തോന്നാറുള്ളത്? ഇവിടെ എന്താ ഇവിടുത്തെ കുട്ടികളുടെ ഒരു കൂടുതൽ അവരുടെ ഒരു ശക്തി, അവരുടെ ദൗർബല്യം എന്താ? അങ്ങനെ എന്തെങ്കിലും അഭിപ്രായങ്ങളുണ്ടോ?
What I've noticed is കേരളത്തില് ഭയങ്കര talent and hard working capacity and respect for dance. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞില്ലേ, അത് ആ respect ഭയങ്കര ആവശ്യമാണ്. That respect, because to know that you are the small and dance is the big. That the dancer is always smaller than the dance. The artist is always smaller than the art. And I've seen that kind of humility in Kerala. And I think that's the right attitude to have. അപ്പൊ അതൊക്കെ ഉണ്ട്. Attitude, right attitude, ഭയങ്കര talent, നല്ല പോലെ guru and teachers, dedicated teachers who are teaching in a very authentic manner. എല്ലാം ഉണ്ട്. Initially നടുവില് ഈ കോമ്പറ്റീഷൻ ഒക്കെ വന്നപ്പോ അപ്പൊ കുറച്ച് ഒരു ഇടങ്കടായി, because people started learning only in a very shallow manner. ഒരു 10 മിനിറ്റ് ഭരതനാട്യം പീസ്, ഒരു 10 മിനിറ്റ് മോഹിനിയാട്ടം പീസ്.
ഇടയ്ക്ക് കോമ്പറ്റീഷൻ വന്നു എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞത് എന്താ ഉദ്ദേശിച്ചത്?
അല്ല, നടുവില് ഈ കലാതിലകം കോമ്പറ്റീഷൻ ഒക്കെ വന്നില്ലേ,
യുവജനോത്സവത്തിന്റെ ആ ഒരു.
yes. അപ്പൊ ആ സമയത്തില് everybody wanted just to to learn those 10 piece items, so it was very shallow training. But that notwithstanding, because now I see that that trend has gone and people are more interested in learning in depth into the dance form. പക്ഷെ എന്താ കാര്യം മിസ്സിംഗ് ചാല് ഒരു exposure of not only yourself but exposure of the big world of dance for yourself. That is why I urge that dancers from Palakkad have to step out. I'm not asking you to relocate to Tamil Nadu, to Chennai or anywhere. I'm asking you to step out and go and watch and be a part of the Chennai season. And എനിക്കറിയാം, ഇപ്പോ യൂട്യൂബിലും സോഷ്യൽ മീഡിയയിലും എല്ലാവരുടെയും ഡാൻസ് കാണാൻ പറ്റുന്നുണ്ട്, ഭയങ്കര ഈസി ആയിട്ട് കാണാൻ പറ്റുന്നുണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ when you go really to Chennai and interact with artists and dancers, that's a different experience altogether.
ചെന്നൈയാണ് അതിന്റെ തലസ്ഥാനം.
ചെന്നൈയിലാണ്. പിന്നെ അത് മാത്രമല്ല, ഒരു സെൽഫ് കൺവിക്ഷൻ ഓഫ് സെൽഫ് ബിലീഫ് അത് ഉണ്ടാവണം. Just because you're a Malayali, just because you're not from Tamil Nadu, എനിക്ക് പോയി ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുമോ, എനിക്ക് ചെന്നൈയിൽ പോയിട്ട് പേര് വാങ്ങാൻ പറ്റുമോ, എനിക്ക് ഡാൻസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുമോ, അതൊക്കെ these thoughts need to be subdued. And like I said, hold the bull by the horns. Learn Tamil, learn Sanskritam, learn Telugu, go to Chennai. So not to learn dance, but then to watch dance. So ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു എക്സ്പോഷർ ആവശ്യമാണ്. One should not be a frog in the well. One should have a very, very macroscopic view of dance. So I would urge dancers in Palakkad. And actually, Arun, later on, I really want to do something for the young talent in Palakkad. Because ഞാനിപ്പോ പല വർഷമായിട്ട് വന്നുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുക. So I'm actually watching the talent grow there, and I'm watching the interest that that young dancers are developing for making dance as a strong career in their lives. So I hope that I will be able to do something to encourage them, to help them, to have a solid plan
Hmm.
for young dancers from the region of Palakkad.
That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. അങ്ങനെ ഉണ്ടാവുകയാണെങ്കിൽ അത് വളരെ വലിയൊരു ഭാഗ്യമായിരിക്കും. ഞങ്ങൾ സമയം കുറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് ഒരു ചോദ്യം വന്നിട്ടുള്ള ആ ചോദ്യത്തിന്റെ കൂടെ എനിക്കും ചോദിക്കാനുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അതിൽ ഈ കുട്ടികളോട് പഠിക്കുന്നതിന്റെ കാര്യമൊക്കെ പറയുമ്പോൾ നൃത്തം പഠിക്കാൻ പോവുക എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് പലപ്പോഴും ഇപ്പോൾ താങ്കളുടെ ജീവിതത്തിൽ ഉണ്ടായത് മാതിരി ഇത് പലപ്പോഴും അമ്മയ്ക്കോ അച്ഛനോ ഉള്ളൊരു ഇഷ്ടോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മക്കൾ എന്തെങ്കിലും അതുവഴി അവര് കലാതിലകാവുന്നോ അതിനുശേഷം സിനിമ നടിയാവുന്നോ അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെയുള്ള ചിലപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു വിദൂരമായിട്ടുള്ള ആഗ്രഹം ഉണ്ടാവാം. അതല്ലാത്ത പക്ഷം അവർക്ക് പഠിക്കാൻ ആഗ്രഹം ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുണ്ടാവാം, കുട്ടിക്കാലത്ത് പറ്റിയില്ല, മകളെങ്കിലും പഠിക്കട്ടെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മകനെ അങ്ങനെ അപ്പൊ പലപ്പോഴും ഈ തീരുമാനം കുട്ടികൾ അല്ല എടുക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ അവര് പഠിക്കട്ടെ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് വിടും. ഒരുപാട് കുട്ടികൾ ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ പഠിക്കുന്ന ഡാൻസ് ഭരതനാട്യമാണ്. അപ്പൊ പക്ഷെ ഇവരൊക്കെ ഒരു 9ാം ക്ലാസ് ഒക്കെ എത്തുമ്പോൾ ഇവരത് നിർത്തും. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഇനി പബ്ലിക് എക്സാം ആണ്, പാട്ടും കൂത്തും ഒക്കെ മതി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് അവിടെ അത് ബ്രേക്ക് ചെയ്യും. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് 9ാം ക്ലാസ് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ 10ാം ക്ലാസ് പബ്ലിക് എക്സാം, അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് 11ാം ക്ലാസ് 12ാം ക്ലാസ്, ദെൻ ഇതിന് ശേഷം ഒരു കോമ്പറ്റീഷന്റെ മറ്റൊരു രീതിയിൽ ജീവിതത്തിന്റെ ഒരു മത്സരത്തിന്റെ ഒരു മേഖലയിലേക്ക് പോകും. പിന്നെ അത് ഒരു കരിയറായി, പലപ്പോഴും പെൺകുട്ടികളാണെങ്കിൽ കല്യാണത്തിലേക്ക് പോകും. അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ ആയിട്ട് ഈ ഡാൻസ് സമയമുള്ളപ്പോ വേറെ ഒന്നും അത്രയും തന്നെ പ്രാധാന്യം ഇല്ലാത്ത ഒന്നും ഇല്ലാത്തപ്പോ ചെയ്യേണ്ട ഒരു സംഗതിയാണ് ഡാൻസ് പഠനം എന്നുള്ള ഒരു തരം വ്യംഗ്യം അതിലുണ്ട്. അങ്ങനെയാണോ ഡാൻസ് പഠിക്കുന്നത് വേറെ ഒന്നും ചെയ്യാൻ സമയം കുറച്ച് ബാക്കി കിട്ടുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ചെയ്യേണ്ട ഒരു കാര്യമാണോ, അതോ ഡാൻസിന് അതിൻ്റെതായിട്ട് ജീവിതത്തിൽ ഒരു
അല്ല, ഞാൻ ആദ്യം പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ education is important to be a dancer. Now, to sacrifice dancing for the crucial years of your academic life so that you take up a profession. If you ask me, I would urge all parents to not stop their children from going for dance class in those crucial years, class 9, 10, 11, 12. അപ്പോഴല്ലേ കുട്ടികൾ എല്ലാം വിട്ടിട്ട് ജസ്റ്റ് പഠിക്കുക. അപ്പോൾ that is important because I feel that it is only going to help them to feel rejuvenated and to feel positive and to have, it's also all said and done, it's also a physical exercise.
Okay.
And to have a physical exercise and an emotional getaway and get into a different world, into a different realm, and then it helps them to come back to study. And also I feel it is not necessary, like I said, that everybody has to become a star dancer. Even if you've spent 15 years dancing and if you've not become a dancer, you've become a fantastic rasika. You can write about dance, you can be a organizer, you can propagate dance, you can do so many things, and whatever it is an art form which is inside you and which has helped you to get into that world of rasa that Bharata spoke about. He said, right? So, and this beautiful verse in Abhinaya Darpana, yato hasta tato drishti tato manaha, yato manaha tato bhava tato rasaha. So that element of rasa is a parallel world of bliss and spiritual upliftment. It's soul stirring. It's more than what meets the eye and the ears. It's more than what your senses are able to grasp. It's a world that the spectator or the rasika is taken into a parallel reality of spiritual consciousness. And the dancer who has learned is easily able to step into this world. Even if he goes on to become a banker, or she goes on to become a housewife, which is okay. But she has tasted that world, and it is going to help her all her life to step into that world of a spiritual elevation. And dance does that to all of us.
കേരളത്തിൽ കഴിഞ്ഞ കുറച്ചു കാലമായിട്ട് വളരെ ദൗർഭാഗ്യകരമായിട്ടുള്ള കുറെ ഇൻസിഡൻസ് ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുണ്ട്. കുട്ടികൾ ഈ പ്രഷർ സഹിക്കാൻ വയ്യാതെ ആത്മഹത്യ ചെയ്ത കുട്ടികൾ. അതിനൊക്കെ എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു ഡാൻസിന് ഒരു റിലീസാണ് അല്ലെ, പ്രഷറും.
It will help you. It will help you to think straight, think positively. It helps you to react to situations in life with a sense of calm. It's like yoga. It's like meditation, because it is mind, body, and soul bringing equanimity of that. And can you imagine yoga and meditation? Adu cheyumbo, adu തീർച്ചയായിട്ട് അതൊരു mental health. The children will be so healthy mentally that it's going to make them strong and face the challenges of academic pressure.
അപ്പൊ പൂർണ്ണമായിട്ട് മുമ്പുള്ള അത്ര ക്ലാസ്സുകളിൽ പോയില്ലെങ്കിലും ചെറിയ രീതിയിലെങ്കിലും ക്ലാസ്സുകൾ മാതാപിതാക്കള് തുടരണം,
തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും കണ്ടിന്യൂ ചെയ്യണം. ആ സസ്റ്റൈൻഡ് ക്ലാസ് ഗോയിങ് അത് നിർത്താൻ പാടില്ല.
എന്റെ പല സുഹൃത്തുക്കളും ഇപ്പോ 40-ഉം 30-കളുടെ അവസാനം 40-കളൊക്കെ എത്തിയിട്ട് പലരും അവരിപ്പോഴൊക്കെ അങ്ങനെ വീണ്ടും ഡാൻസിലേക്ക് തിരിച്ചു പോകുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അവരുടെയൊക്കെ പലപ്പോഴും അവരുടെയൊക്കെ ഒരു ഓൾമോസ്റ്റ് ഒരു നഷ്ടബോധത്തോടെ പറയാറുണ്ട്, അത് അന്ന് നിന്ന് പോയി, അത് കഴിഞ്ഞതുകൊണ്ട് അത് തുടരാൻ അത്രയും കൂടുതൽ അധ്വാനിക്കും. അപ്പൊ ഇവർക്ക് തന്നെ, ഈ കുട്ടികൾ തന്നെ പിന്നീട് ഒരു അവസരത്തിൽ അവർക്കൊരു നഷ്ടബോധം തോന്നണ്ട അല്ലെ, പഠിപ്പിക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ അവർക്കൊരു ചെറിയ രീതിയിലൊരു.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm now sort of going to take some of the questions, at least a few questions. അപ്പൊ ഒരു ചോദ്യം ഇതുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടിട്ട് പ്രീത മേനോൻ ചോദിക്കുന്ന ചോദ്യമാണ്. What is your take on, it's kind of related to what you said, what is your take on how dance and other cultural forces can help connect people around the world in this difficult time that we are going through?
I think that's a fantastic question and very, very close to my heart, because my agenda of being a dancer, of course, is to propagate Bharatanatyam, but also to touch people, to reach out to people through the medium of dance. And I feel that dance has the quality of transformation. It's very transformative. And I feel like when I dance as a solo dancer on stage, it actually transforms me from singular to plural. Because if there are 300 people sitting and watching me, 300 people are in my plane, in my realm, in my world, right? So I actually have got into the minds of 300 people, or vice versa, 300 people have got into my mind. Right. So dance has helped me to transform myself from singular to plural. I may be just one body, but I actually represent the thoughts of 300 people who are with me. So I think dance has this fantastic quality of unifying and reaching out to people, especially in challenging times, especially in these times when we can actually use dance as a medium to communicate. I did a small video on health workers who are our warriors and how we should treat them with dignity. So that was a small endeavor to use dance as a medium to reach out a social message.
What have you been doing during this COVID period? You've been very active, haven't you?
I have, yes, I have not done any online performances because I just felt I wanted to take a break from performances, and I thought this was a fantastic way of working on my dance without a deadline, without an agenda. It's bliss. It's complete bliss to know that you are dancing, you're working on this particular varnam when you don't have a performance on the 1st of July that you have to perform, or when you don't have an agenda that, oh my God, I have to take this plane to go to so-and-so place for this performance. I don't have any of that. My calendar is absolutely blank, but I'm still working on my dance. I think it's bliss. It's complete bliss. So that's what I'm...
Talk
yes. Talk because I think it is important to keep the inspiration alive. And I have done whatever I've been able to do to inspire and to sustain the inspiration of young dancers. Because this samayam bhayangara crucial samaya. This samayathilana we can actually take dance to a different level ourselves. We can we can introspect and take our own dance and reach a level of excellence and build our technique. അപ്പോ ഈ സമയം വെറുതെ കളയാൻ പാടില്ല. യുനോ അയ്യോ ഇങ്ങനെ ആയല്ലോ, പ്രോഗ്രാം പോയല്ലോ, പണം പോയല്ലോ, ഇതൊക്കെ വിചാരിച്ചിട്ട് കാര്യമില്ല. യു ഹാവ് ടു മേക്ക് മോസ്റ്റ് ഓഫ് ദ സിറ്റുവേഷൻ ആൻഡ് മേക്ക് ഓപ്റ്റിമം യൂസ് ഓഫ് വാട്ട് life has thrown to you. So you have to take up the challenge.
You know, from those very elevated thoughts, I just want to, this is again, it's like very banal interest that I have. How was it going up to the president's house and picking up an award? What was it like? You got a Sangeet
Natak Academy. You know, I was telling somebody that I was standing here, and right. the president was a few feet away, and there is a walk when they announce your name. There is a walk. There is a short walk that you need to do. So it's a walk for about say about 20 seconds that you walk up to the president, right? And then the next 30 seconds or what, the president is giving you the award. So the whole thing is just about little more than a minute, right? That walk, that 20-second walk from where I was standing when they announced my name, the president is there, he's actually looking at you, he's waiting for you to go up there and climb those 2 stairs. I feel that 20-second walk, not just for me, for any artist who has taken that walk, what a long walk that artist must have taken to make this 20-second walk, to make this 20-second. This is a short but profound, crucial walk. But then to make this walk, എത്ര distance ഓടിയിട്ടുണ്ടാവും, നടന്നിട്ടുണ്ടാവും, വീണിട്ടുണ്ടാവും, എന്തൊക്കെ ആയിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. They must have got wounded. So many things would have happened just to make that 20-second walk. So I think it is quite an experience to do that 20-second walk, because my whole life flashed back into my mind when I was taking that walk.
Is there for the Padma Awards, I believe there is a whole dry run.
Oh yes, this is also, there's a dry run, of course. There is a dry run. There's a rehearsal. അതൊക്കെ പറയും. Yes. പ്രസിഡന്റിന്റെ അടുത്ത് സംസാരിക്കാൻ പാടില്ല, പ്രസിഡന്റിനെ തൊടാൻ പാടില്ല, നമസ്കാരം മാത്രം ചെയ്യണം, അതൊക്കെ തൊടാൻ പാടില്ല. ഒന്ന് ചോദ്യം ചോദിക്കാൻ പാടില്ല. അതൊക്കെ റൂൾസ് റെഗുലേഷൻസ് ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ട്.
അത് ചില പ്രസിഡന്റ്സിന്റെ അടുത്ത് ചോദ്യം ചോദിച്ചാൽ അപകടമുള്ള പ്രസിഡന്റ്സ് ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുണ്ട് നമുക്ക്.
Sure.
You know, I'll just pick a few more questions. Thank you. 1.5 മണിക്കൂർ നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞത് കഴിഞ്ഞു. അപ്പോൾ let's try and wrap as I mean, I've been sort of pilloried by people for not being sufficiently respectful of time. So let me find some of the interesting questions. So Lakshmi Vishwanath asks a question. I'm not very sure what she means, but I'll anyway throw it at you. Her question is, with Kalamandalam, we have such a reputed institution. Why do we not have a dance festival in Kerala? So I don't know what.
Kalamandalam does have a dance festival.
Yeah, that's what.
Kalamandalam does have a dance festival. I myself have performed in that dance festival. Kalamandalam holds several lecture demonstrations by artists, lectures, interactive sessions and workshops. I think it's a very, very beautifully run, very efficiently run organization, because I've been there so many times.
She doesn't necessarily say a dance festival in Kalamandalam. I think what she indicates, or at least my understanding, is that there isn't a dance festival in this part of the world, which also is not entirely true, is it?
But you know, I want to tell you, there is no dearth of dance festivals in Kerala. Absolutely, there is no dearth. There are several organizations and, you know, several patrons who present Bharatanatyam in Kerala, and I don't think there's any dearth. And actually, that is the way we are able to understand which dancers are coming off to a level of excellence. I think these festivals are important to showcase local talent.
So there are two questions from your fellow Kunisheriite, Maddie. So he's a historian, and his questions therefore are related to history. You can take a stab at it. He says, and he's done, I know that he's done a very nice piece about the genesis of Mohiniyattam, which must have informed this question. His question is, a number of Mohiniyattam dancers in Swati Tirunal's court were from Palakkad. How and why so?
Oh, so actually, I did not know this, Maddie. Thank you for giving me this piece of information. I feel more empowered now. But yeah, we could think about why from Palakkad. It could be, again, the Mandir. But jokes apart,
there were musicians, like one of his court, the sort of Asthana Vidwan, he was from Palakkad, very celebrated gentleman. So I'm guessing that traffic also included a dance culture component to it.
Yes, possibly. And then also because, like I said, the influence of Carnatic music in Palakkad must have generated a lot of interest towards the arts. And that's how, you start learning. And then you move towards the patron, the place who is patronizing. So you move towards the court that is patronizing it. But this is the point. We must do a little bit of research to find out why and from where. Yes.
His second question is a amusing question. He asks about the choice of how your name is spelt. Why is it Rama and not Rema? Do you have an answer?
Yeah. Okay. Good question. So many newspapers in Kerala will say REMA. They won't say RAMA. They'll write my name as REMA. Possibly yes, because Rama can also be Rama, and I've had that issue also. It could easily be. It could have been RAMAA, or it could have been REMA. I completely understand. I totally understand. But I think this is a question I need to ask my parents, because they put the spelling for me, and then I just got happy with it. And I just went on with life. So yes, I could have a different spelling for a better pronunciation.
So I think I'll take one last question. There are a number of questions more. I think maybe I'll toss them at you online after this. The last question is, Kavita asked this question. Her question is, what in your opinion is the most important quality one should look for in a guru? How do you choose your guru? Or is it that the guru chooses you by some unique connect that we cannot comprehend?
I think the most important thing to see, because a guru who is accomplished, a guru who is giving, a guru who teaches well, I think all that is a given. So when we use the word guru, we already assume that this is a guru who is, who has an authentic knowledge of the art form, and will be able to impart it selflessly to the student. So those things are given. But I think what is the quality that a young dancer should look for in a guru is, what is the perspective of dance of the guru? What is the artistic choices that the guru has made? Does that coincide with your artistic choices? Does that coincide with what you think should dance be, what your perspective is? So a guru may have a specific way of looking at Sahityam, may have a specific way of treating a poem.
Can you, can I request you to maybe articulate this through an example? Is it possible to?
For example, if a guru has, so the guru's idea and artistic choices, if they coincide with yours, like for example, this Kirtanam by Gopalakrishna Bharati, Yeppo varuvaru yendan kali tira. When will he come to remove my suffering? Okay. Now, there are different ways of choreographing this piece, and there are different ways of looking at this poem, different perspectives of this poem. So, some people may say, Yepo varu varu yendan kali, my suffering is like I'm in darkness. And when will he come to open my eyes? Or I'm in the slumber of ignorance. When will he come to wake me up? Or I'm in the dark night. When will he come for the sun to rise? So these metaphors that we bring in, that the sun rising is like my suffering going away. Me waking up from my slumber of ignorance is like my suffering going away. Me igniting my Kundalini chakra is like I'm getting spiritual consciousness, is like my suffering going away. When will he come for me to cross the ocean? So for me, he's like he comes in a boat to makes me cross my ocean. So this is just a small example of the student trying to understand and getting into the mind of the guru, what she has seen in this Sahityam. Is it connecting with you? Is it connecting with you spiritually? So I think it is important that the young dancer has to watch a lot of dance of different teachers before understanding these are the artistic choices that I feel comfortable with, and therefore I will go with this guru. So I think this is a crucial factor that a young dancer must keep in mind.
എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു ഇത് കൂടുതലും ഒരു അഡ്വാൻസ്ഡ് ലെവലിലേക്കുള്ള ഒരു ഗുരുവിനെ 6 വയസ്സിൽ തുടങ്ങുമ്പോ നമുക്ക് ഈ തീരുമാനങ്ങൾ
അത് പറ്റില്ല. അത് 6 വയസ്സിൽ തുടങ്ങുമ്പോ പറ്റില്ല. 6 വയസ്സിൽ 6 വയസ്സിൽ വെറും ഡാൻസ് പഠിക്കുകയല്ലേ ചെയ്യുള്ളൂ. ജസ്റ്റ് ദ ഗ്രാമർ, അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടാണ് ഞാൻ പറയണത്. Only after that.
Rama, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. There is like a bunch of questions that I want to ask, which I don't know, ask another time. But you have been so generous with your time. You've been full of charm. I completely enjoyed the bits where you went into impromptu sort of performance. It's wonderful. Thank you so much on behalf of all of us who have been listening. And you know what? That's the end of our Kootamkoodal first series. So I thank you, but I also thank everybody else who was part of it, starting from Maddie and Manmadanullah till then Manjusha, this wonderful session on food. Srivalsan Menon educated us illiterates on music and its different schools and how they relate. EP Uni talked about cartooning and its origins and how our tradition, our soil gave birth to so many cartoonists. Anjali Menon was the soul of charm, and she talked about how her experience shooting films there. And now I don't need to talk about what you did because everybody just saw it. So all these wonderful people humbled by this experience of 6 weeks. The entire series is available on our YouTube channel. If somebody wants to go and watch an older session, they're all on. If you do YouTube and search Intach Palakkad, I think at the end of it we have a screen where the thing comes. So thank you so much. But I have to also thank my colleagues. Although I'm the only one who was willing to come and be the face of this thing, there were all these other people who helped, fellow members. So Sanusha did the bulk of the work, but there was Indu and Priya and Krishnadas and Srijit and Gokul, Smriti. All of them did tiny bits of work, either connecting us to a guest or doing some research so that I don't look like an idiot in front of the camera. They were not always successful, and I still persisted on being an idiot, but they tried. And everybody else who spread the word. So thank you so much. We have a Facebook page? We have an Instagram page. Do write to us about what you felt about it. But thank you so much again. And for now, good night. And
thank you, Arun. It was a wonderful pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Same here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.